And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as it is Don Percy here, the voice of the Cardinals. And man, first thing I have to say is it has been a while since we have been back up in the box and on a live stream. Girls lacrosse versus Lee as they look to improve to 6-5 on the season. Not off to the best start, certainly. We saw them last year with a better record. They've been trading the wins back and forth. An 11-7 record last season, however. Unfortunately, they would fall in the D3 preliminary round at Medway by the final score of 17-5, and they would fall also in the Western Mass tournament 18-6. So a little bit of a redemption run here for not only Pope Francis last year, but also looking to get back on track this season if they would like to make a good run into the postseason, let alone into Western Mass or into the state tournament. So as we said before, both teams, Lee on the other hand, struggling pretty bad here. 1-8 their record so far this season, not off to the best start at all. As if we look at the sidelines right now, there is only one sub, I believe, on the Lee bench. So a little bit of a understaffed, undermanned roster here. As Pope Francis has got about a 2-line sub if needed. So we'll fill you in on what we missed a little bit over the past couple of weeks. It was a couple of games that we did record. I believe it was a doubleheader last week. Face-off originally won by Nolan Craven. And that is one of the key players for the Cardinals this year is we saw Caitlin Ondrick last year, continuing her career playing for UMass Boston, Beacon's women's Division III hockey and lacrosse. But Nolan Craven has really taken in the shoes of Caitlin Ondrick here. A freshman showing her leadership here on the varsity team at the varsity level. 33 goals and 5 assists, leading her team in not only goals but also points. As we see Jordan Ballin also join along the side with 15 goals, 9 assists this season. But that was definitely, because last year, for those of you that tuned in last year, it was Caitlin Ondrick. I mean, I think the average goals per game was around on a low end 3, on a high end about 5 or 6. But it was just consistently. And that was what really you wanted to see, especially for a player going to play at the collegiate level, is consistency as far as goals. As a shot there, save made by the league goaltender Reese Dutchneys. As Nolan Craven trying to get her first goal of the night. But unfortunately, it would not go. As when you look down at the stats for the league goaltending, 33 goals against on 40 shots is not exactly the save percentage that you would like to see. Again, with an undermanned roster, though, there's not much that you can do. However, Lee has posed a little bit of trouble to the Cardinals in the past. This year, they played them earlier. They would win by a score of 14-10. But for a team with a small roster, you certainly would think the score would be getting run up a little bit more than that. Last year, Pope Francis would take a 20-10 game versus Lee, and then Lee would also earlier on that year take the first game 17-9. And then before that, it would be a 5-year stretch before these two teams ever squared off against each other. Zoe Shepard would save that one. So first shot for both the Cardinals and for Lee. As Pope Francis trying to work back the other way. Ava Moltenbray trying to get something going for Pope as she tries to leave the pass off for Maylee Champlain. But it's sent back around behind the net. Nolan Craven now leading goal scorer for the Cardinals. Up at the 30-yard line, playing a game of catch with Ava Moltenbray. Back over for Jordan Ballant. Ballant looking off, trying to find Ali Soja. Got a quick shot off. Nolan Craven trying to fire a quick shot off. The rebound is picked up. They thought the goalie had it, but instead Craven right in to pick up the rebound as she now holds possession. Sends it up top for Ali Soja. Soja's trying to get her way into the 20-yard line. Instead, she'll hold back and pass it off for Ava Moltenbray. Again, we saw last year, too, Pope Francis was a really good offensive unit. A little bit of a struggle on the defensive side, but offensively, it was all there. It's a low-angle shot by Caitlin Griffin. Another shot around the back of the net, trying to find an inside lane. I believe they do, and they score as Nolan Craven with the opening goal as she draws first blood for Pope Francis. And she adds on to her now making it a 34-goal year for her in her freshman year. But as we said, offensively, Pope Francis was doing well both this year and last year. You had two big goal scorers. Last year was Caitlin Andrick, as we said. This year, Nolan Craven. And once Pope gets cycling around in the O-zone, it really does become a bad habit for other teams to just really start standing around and watching the play happen. And if you're other teams, you've got to start realizing that. Pope on the D side, they've struggled a little bit in the past. Hopefully looking to make that change this year, though. As we have seen goals go up against Pope Francis in an exponentially rate. Around 15, 17 goals in those 5 losses, which is not what you want to see on the defensive side. Pope cycling it around the back of the net for Caitlin Griffin. Finds Maylee Champlain. Trying to give the pass over for Ava Moltenbray, who bobbled it there, but she recovered with it and sends it back up for Jordan Ballant and Nolan Craven. Ali Soja looking to work her way in. Trying to drive to the net. Low shot. She scores. As Pope Francis doubles their lead with under 8 minutes remaining in the first quarter. And as we said, once this Cardinal team gets going, it's all down the road from here, and it's all rolling. As we could start seeing goals rack up very, very quickly. But Ali Soja and Nolan Craven, the two freshmen putting in the work for Pope Francis with 7:50 remaining in the first quarter. As Craven is set to take the face-off now for the Cardinals. As what we will look for in the athletics in the upcoming week, we will bring you girls softball. That will be a recording, then a post. We will be bringing you the Friday game where they are set to take on Putnam. For those of you in the area that would look to come around, it's at 4 p.m. is the first pitch. So that will certainly be something to look forward to. Again, we do apologize also for the lack of boys lacrosse and girls lacrosse live stream and record. A little bit of a scheduling conflict between ourselves here, the tech crew with Pope Prep, but we are doing our best to give you as many games as we can. Caitlin Griffin trying to dance her way into the O-zone, but instead she was cut down. I believe she was called offsides. So as we said before, we look to give you girls softball at 4 p.m. on Friday of this week. It'll be, as we said, it'll be a recording. Then it will be a posting. That posting might be around Saturday. Caitlin Griffin with a shot, and she scores again. As Pope Francis now up 3-0 with 7:03 left in the first quarter. As it has been all gas and no brakes here early on in the first quarter. I think Pope's really looking to do that early on. Is they're looking to put the game away and maybe put it on cruise control for the later half of the game. So as we said before, girls softball, Putnam, recording then posting this Friday at 4 p.m. Next week we will look to hopefully bring you boys baseball versus Pittsfield at 5 p.m. Unsure if that will be a live stream or a recording. However, I myself will not be there, unfortunately, so I do apologize to all the baseball fans out there. Then Wednesday we will more than likely look at a boys baseball game versus Taconic or a girls softball game versus Long Meadow. Both games are set at 4 p.m. here at Pope Francis. And then Friday we are looking at a girls lacrosse game possibly at 4:30 or at 6, and also a girls softball game Thursday at 4. So be sure to tune in for that. And a notable date out here will be the girls senior night, Monday, May 19th. Be sure to tune in for that, ladies and gentlemen. Girls Lax taking on Chicopee Comp. Unsure of the time in which it will start off, possibly 4 or 5:30. But we'll be hosting the senior ceremony. Nolan Craven with a shot inside. And that shot rings off the post. They thought it went in, and Craven thought she had her second goal of the night. Could have been her 35th goal of the season. But unfortunately, she was robbed by the post. And as we said before, last year it was Caitlin Andrick leading with 48 goals and 30 assists. Joined by her was also Caitlin Griffin with 33 goals and Kiera Fitzgerald Sr. with 31 goals. Jordan Ballant Jr. at the time with 32. So it was a big powerhouse, a big goals for game for Pope Francis. Something that they might have looked to take over is putting offensive pressure on early on in the game and kind of laying back towards the second half of the game in the third and fourth quarters. Unfortunately, this year it will not be the case, as it has been a different story here for them at a 5-5 record so far this season. So not off to the worst, but not off to the best start, one might say. Ava Moultonbray looking inside for Ella Negron, who tried to get the shot off. Instead, she was cut down by a lead defender. Moultonbray back up top for Ali Soja, who leaves the pass off for Jordan Ballant. Nolan Craven along the side to the 10-yard line for Ella Negron. Back around the lee net, Maylee Champlain and Caitlin Griffin playing a game of catch. Back up top, Jordan Ballant looking to fire in a shot. Instead, she leaves the side pass off over for Ali Soja, who looks to add on to her one-goal night. So goals so far, it is Soja, Craven, and Griffin with 1 goal apiece. Ava Moultonbray trying to work this way and that, as it was stick down by the lead goaltender. A good shot and a good try to drive to the net there by Moultonbray to get Pope Francis up 4-0, as we are well over the halfway point of the first quarter. 4:15 remaining now in regulation. Leading goal scorer Nettie Boyko with 27 goals, 4 assists for the Lee Middle and High School. As we said, they haven't been off to the best start at all. 1-8 their record so far. Senior Naima Clark also second behind in goals with 12 goals and 2 assists. And really most of their goals this season are centered around those two players, Nettie Boyko and Naeem Clark. Unfortunate start for their season and what could be possibly and more than likely no postseason run. Pass inside for Nolan Craven as she steps back and fires and scores. Beautiful goal by Nolan Craven. Leading pass inside toward the goal. A little step back. How do you do? And fires it top shelf over the lead goaltender. As with 3:29 remaining in the fourth quarter, Craven with 2 goals, Soja with 1, and Griffin with 1, as Pope now leads 4-0. A dominating presence over the Lee High School and Middle School here early on in this game. Face-off one forward by Craven as she was looking up for Jordan Ballant. Ballant looking inside, trying to find one of the midfielders heading center, looking for Ava Moultonbray or maybe even Claire DeRogers. Laura Martin's going to fish for the ball in the far corner of the field, as Pope will still gain possession. Ava Moultonbray up top for Ali Soja and Jordan Ballant. Pope looking to set up the same play that they've been starting up so far. Laura Martin's on the back half, leaving the pass off for Ava Moultonbray. Pope just playing a game of catch around the O-zone for them. Jordan Ballant over for Ava Moultonbray. Moultonbray trying to streak in, drive to the net. She scores! A beautiful drive to the net, and Pope now finds himself up 5-0, as this game could be out of control and on a runaway at any given moment here with 2:31. It's already a 5-0 lead for Pope Francis, and I think with that, the league coach has seen enough, and she'll take her first time out. So we'll step aside. 2:31 remaining in the first quarter. 5-0 the Pope Francis Cardinals lead. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Champions play here live on Pope Prep. Back here off the timeout, Nolan Craven set to take the face-off. 2:31 remaining in the first quarter. All Pope Francis, we've seen ozone pressure, and that's been a key thing here. Certainly realizing Lee with a short-staffed bench, taking advantage of that, running it up early on, not wasting your energy, though. Cycling it around when you have chances to, and when it matters most, driving to the net, shooting and scoring for Pope Francis, as they've done a good job of that so far. Caitlin Griffin up top for Jordan Ballant. Leaves the pass off for Ali Soja. Soja looking inside. Ava Moltenbray back down low for Laura Martins. Back for Caitlin Griffin. Passes off to Ella Negron. Back up top for Nolan Craven. Again, Pope just we've seen the cycling from up top all the way around to the side behind the net, looking inside for the lane. Oh, Nolan Craven, who couldn't handle the pass, trying to scoop it up now behind the net. Looking up top for options, Ali Soja and Jordan Ballant looking to post back up to position. As Pope will look to relocate their players and get back into a prime scoring opportunity. Ali Soja looking inside. Jordan Ballant trying to go this way and that. Leaves off for Ali Soja, who is upended around the 15-yard line. I believe this will be Pope possession at just right around the 15-yard mark. So Ali Soja with a good chance to get her second goal of the game and add on to this 5-0 lead for Pope Francis. Low shot there, save made by the lead goaltender as the rebound dribbles all the way out to the side of the field and out of bounds, as Lee will now gain possession with a minute remaining in the first quarter. But yeah, as we said so far, Lee with very little and minimal ball possession so far, and a little bit of a struggle even to get it out of their own zone here, as Pope is just all offensive pressure now with the final minute of regulation in the first quarter. Lee struggling to get it out of their own zone. Just trying to shake this way and that was Ashley Sonson. Lee still looking to get out of their own zone. Haven't gotten past the 40-yard mark. 25 seconds remaining in regulation. Those of you just tuning in, Pope Francis with a 4-0 lead, or excuse me, 5-0 lead. Big time lead here. But it's going back the other way. Jordan Ballant trying to rush for it. Instead, it is scooped up by the lead goaltender. And that will more than likely just about do it with 10 seconds remaining. Unless there's going to be a quick turnover here as Ava Moltenbray trying to scoop it up and fire a quick shot on net. But 3-2-1, time winds down. So 5-0 Pope Francis leads. Nolan Craven, 2 goals. Ali Soja with a goal. Caitlin Griffin with a goal. And we will come back live in about 2 minutes' time. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Champions play here. 5-0 Pope Francis leads when we return. Second quarter just about underway here live on Pope Prep as we come back, a 5-0 lead for Pope Francis. It was a dominantly offensive zone for the Cardinals so far. We have not seen any O-zone time from Lee at all, as they might have me eat my words here. The last time that happened was Maddie Regan in the opening round of the MIAA Division I tournament for Pope Francis. I didn't think that they would get an extra goal. It was the Raiders versus the Cardinals at the MIAA Center. I mean, man, what a game that was. On only 3-0 the lead for Pope Francis going into the third period. It was towards the end of the game. I believe at one point the closest that it would come was more than likely 3-2 if you were not counting the one Wellesley goal, which would have been 5-1. But, I mean, that was just an action-packed back-and-forth game. Heavy hitting, too. Caitlin Griffin trying to fire a shot off as that shot is saved, made by the Lee goaltender. But that was an action-packed game going back and forth. Regardless of it, I believe it was an 8 or 7-1 win for Paul. I believe it was an 8-1 win for Pope Francis. Regardless of the fact that it was a big blowout win, still, it was a really good game. Both teams played exceptionally well. Wellesley throwing in a couple of their seniors towards the end of the game as time was slowly ticking down. Unfortunately, boys hockey would meet their match in the Frozen Four to what would be the state championship Catholic Memorial, who would win 4-3 over St. John's Shrewsbury. A couple of the big dogs going out in around the round of 8 and the round of 16. It was one of the big powerhouses, though, in the opening round. I know we talked about this before. It was Reading that went out in double overtime to Barnstable. And to Barnstable's credit, they would put up a fight against Zavarian. It would be a 2-1 loss to them, but all credit for them, a huge underdog story, a 24 seed, not only defeating a number 9 seed, but going on to play an 8 seed and putting up a fight against them. It was a good job by them. Lee looking to get first on the board as they score here. Top shelf goal as Lee now is on the board 5-1. Now that goal coming from Faith Newton, or no, rather Tessa Morin for Lee. So with 9:58 in the second quarter, Lee is up on the board 5-1 the score now in favor of the Cardinals. Face off at center field. Nolan Craven's had to take it once again for Pope Francis. Face-off draw one back. I believe it was by Lee. Ali Soja looking to dance this way and that into the zone, looking to leave the pass off for, I believe it was Ava Moltenbray, who sails that shot high and wide over the net. Before that, it was a pass from Jordan Bound, but Ava Moltenbray with a good, strong shot as she was looking to go top shelf over the league goaltender. But unfortunately, it would not go for her. As Lee looking to get out of their own D zone now. 9:30 remaining in the second quarter. Score still in favor of the Cardinals, 5-1. Kaylin Griffin now around the back of the net with the lead goaltending net. Pope Francis looking to set up the play that they've been setting up so far in this game. We've seen they cycled around the O-zone looking for options, trying to open up lanes. They've done a good job of that so far. Regardless of whether or not they score, they have done a good job driving to the middle lane and getting a net front presence. At least putting the ball on net. Not always necessarily getting a shot off, but doing a good job getting a lane drive. Ava Moltenbray up top for Ali Soja. Back for Jordan Ballant. Leaves the pass off for Nolan Craven. Back for Ballant. Soja looking to work her way inside. Craven and Ballant trying to work her way in. But it was Soja who ripped a shot low side for her second goal of the game. As it is now 6-1 Pope Francis. As we said, an offensively dominated game so far. Last time these two teams did meet, it was earlier in the season with a much closer score of 14-10 in favor of the Cardinals. And that would come on April 17th of this year. So, again, it would be a much, much closer game. And I believe with this, Pope Francis has taken a timeout. So we'll step aside, ladies and gentlemen, with 8:19 remaining in the second quarter. Stay tuned. Champions play here live on Pope Prep. Face-off won back by Pope Francis. I believe it was Craven that... I don't think she rather won it for. I think it was the lead face-off that won it backwards. Ava Moltenbrae, or no, rather Jordan Ballant trying to shake and bake this way and that. Pass off for Nolan Craven. I believe that shot might have hit her in the head as it bounced down over to the field as Pope Francis looking to get the offensive unit back up and running. Sophia Deichler on the back of the net. Gonna send the pass back off for Caitlin Griffin. Allie Soja looking to work inside, trying to find Nolan Craven, who had her stick up, almost had the pass there, but instead it was batted down. Jordan Ballant looking inside for Sophia Deichler. Shot save made by the lead goaltender as she almost could have had her first goal of the night. But a good net front presence and ozone time so far for Pope Francis. And that's really the key takeaway for them so far here in this game, because they've done such a good job at that. And as ultimately, that's what's been putting them up 6-1 right now with 7 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Craven looking to work her way inside for her third goal of the game. She does. She scores. It's the hat trick goal. It's Nolan Craven's third goal of the game as she puts Pope Francis up 7-1 now with just under 7 minutes remaining in the second quarter. So Nolan Craven right now currently on the goals list for the season, sitting at 36 goals on the season. I believe Pope Francis does in fact have more than just one game left in the season, as it will be two, right, or rather, it'll be 2 more games outside of this game at home, or excuse me, right? It'll be 3 games outside of this game at home, as they have 6 more games ahead of them. So very well, as far as we were looking at compared to last year's stats, we could be looking at possibly Nolan Craven with a more goals per season leading Pope Francis than Caitlin Ondrick had last year with 48 goals. So Nolan Craven certainly looking to rack up the more goals as they come here later in the season. Inside pass looking over for Ali Soja as she tried to take a little bit of a leap of faith and catch the pass. That was a little too high. Caitlin Griffin up top for Jordan Ballant. Nolan Craven along the side over for Laura Martins. On the back of the net for Sophia Deichler. Pope looking to cycle around, get the ozone unit up to attack as Ali Soja looking inside. Nolan Craven shot as that went off the goaltender's, I believe that was her hand or her wrist, and she's in a great deal of pain now as she's reaching down for her, I believe what might be her wrist. Play will continue, though. Jordan Ballant looking up top for Nolan Craven, looking to streak to that. Finds Ali Soja outside. Back up top for Laura Martins. Inside for Caitlin Griffin's high shot. She scores. Griffin's second goal on the night, looking to add on. Griffin with 2, Soja with 2, and Craven with a hat trick so far. As we have well more than half of this game left, as it is now 8-1 in favor of Pope Francis, as this game is well turned into a runaway so far. But the key thing here for Pope Francis is to not let up on the gas pedal, as certainly with an 8-1 lead. I know we've said it time and time again, but things like this you cannot let go, especially to where it will get to a 4, maybe even 5 goal range. You've got to do a good job on handling those big goal leads and the big opportunities when the time comes. Nolan Craven around the back of the net for, or rather around the back of the Cardinal at center field. Back for Ava Moltenbray. Moltenbray looking around. Sends the pass off over for Nolan Craven. Down low, Sophia Deichler. Looking up top for Caitlin Griffin. Again, Pope looking to set up the ozone unit once again, looking to make it a 9-1 score, hopefully, in favor of Pope Francis. As this shot is another goal scored by, I believe it was Ava Moltenbray. So she adds on to get her first goal of the night, as it is now 9-1 Pope Francis. But as we said, we're looking around at the MIAA power rankings. Pope Francis baseball currently sitting at number 18 in the Division I rankings with a current record of 9-5. Holding the number 1 seed is none other than Taunton, followed by Bishop Fian and St. John's. So Pope Francis certainly with what could be possibly a good postseason run for baseball. As boys lacrosse not off to the best season that they've had so far, I believe currently sitting at a record of 3-9. If I'm not mistaken, it might be 3-10. It has just not been a good season for them at all. So let's get a little bit of recovery season as Laura Martin sails that shot high and wide over the net. As play will continue now behind the Lee net. 3:45 just about remaining in the second quarter. As the pass was sent off for Giada Musa. Moltenbray Onto the side of the net for Caitlin Griffin. Back for Sophia Deichler. Looking up top. Back for Giada Musa. Nolan Craven. Ava Moultonbray. And Jordan Ballant up top right now. The offensive unit looking to go to work for Pope Francis. Craven looking to dance this way. And that inside of the net, she scores once again. It's a 4-goal night for Nolan Craven. A big-time lead here, 10-1, with 3:06 remaining in the second quarter. As Pope is just turning this game into more and more of a runaway, as there is no sign of life at all in Lee other than that first goal that was scored early on in the second quarter. As Riley Longo now set to take the face-off for the Cardinals. 3:06 remaining in regulation in the second half. Or rather, the second quarter, I should say. Longo trying to scoop for the ball. Leach looking to get some possession here. Maybe get into the O-zone for one of the first times tonight. Lee on the back half looking to get something going on the O-zone. Pope Francis is looking to play some lockdown D so far. No goals against, let alone a big 10-1 lead. Still, you do not want to see Lee spark something and have it lead to a couple of goals in the back of your net, as that shot was a low deflection. I believe it might have been a misfire, as that would bounce well high and over the net. As Katie Ledoux trying to get it upfield back for Caitlin Griffin, who tried to lead the pass off over Sophia Deichler in a foot race now, trying to scoop the ball up and give it off to the side for Caitlin Griffin, as she does. Pope O-zone looking to go back up, and the unit trying to restart here. Caitlin Griffin on the side, looking for Ava Moultonbray. Moultonbray already with 1 goal on the night. Nolan Craven 4. Ali Soja with 2. As that's put Pope Francis up big, 10-1 so far. 1:20 now remaining in regulation of the second quarter. Caitlin Griffin looking to find an inside lane for Jordan Ballant, but she couldn't find anything there, as that would not go for her. As the official rules the play dead, as it will be Lee possession. With under a minute remaining in regulation. Sarah Tatro looking to get it upfield for Jordan Ballant. 42 seconds remaining. Now in regulation, 10-1 the score. Still as Keely Gorick looking to make something happen upfield for the Cardinals. Laura Martin's around the back half of that. Back for Sophia Deichler. Pope looking to get 1 shot off now. 20 seconds remaining in regulation. Ava Moultonbray. Back off for Jordan Ballant. Ballant looking to find a drive to the inside lane. Can't find anything there. 10 seconds now. Pope will have to work fast if they want to fire a shot off. We're going to get a lob shot inside lane. Nothing would go, as the clock will wind down 3, 2, and 1. So Pope Francis, a big 10-1 lead here at the end of the second quarter. Coming up, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have the Cardinal halftime. We'll break down what we saw and what we hope to see in the upcoming half of play. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Champions Play here live on Pope Prep. As we welcome you back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are set. I do apologize. I did completely forget the Cardinal halftime, but I will give you a little bit of a rundown of what we've seen so far for those of you just tuning into the game now in the third quarter. So first two quarters, it was a predominantly all Pope Francis in the O-zone. So we've seen them setting up the one offensive unit, and it has been going to work so far, as it certainly showed on the scoreboard. 10-1. I mean, you can't really complain for much if you're Pope Francis offensively. Defensively, you haven't had much of a test really either, other than the one goal. And I mean, that's really not too much to complain for here late in the game. So I say if you're Pope Francis, you want to just keep this game at a standstill. You're not necessarily looking for another 10 goals, 15 goals on the board. Maybe 5. I mean, honestly, 5 would be good. But if you come out of this with a solid 15-2, 15-3, 15-1 win, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a good, solid win. You know you played well and you guys were working on stuff that would matter in the game. Nolan Craven looking for her 5th goal of the game, as that one would trickle just through the shoes of the league goaltender, as I believe that would have gone 5-hole on her, but instead it did, in fact, trickle just wide of the net. Lee looking to move back the other way now. Going to get some offensive pressure going. As we've seen here, that we've seen Lee, it was the one offensive rush that they had upfield, and it would turn out to be good for them, as they would result with a goal. I believe that was about early on in the second quarter. I mean, other than that Lee has not had anything going for them so far, as this could make me eat my words again right here. As with 10 minutes remaining in the third quarter, 10-1 the score now. Going to get Lee their second goal on the night. There's a low shot there, and that is a goal for Lee. I believe that was scored by Naeem Clark, as she adds on to her goal-scoring season. Currently second with 12 goals, now 13, as we do have a goaltender change here for Pope Francis. So Zoe Shepard heading off the bench, and Avery Savage in net for Pope Francis. Face-off won forward by Caitlin Griffin. Lee again right back at it, as Naeem Clark with a laser of a shot at the 20-yard line, as Avery Spencer lets in the second goal on her second shot that she faced. So it is now 10-3 here. I mean, if you're Pope Francis, you've got to get a control of this lead so far, as with 9:34 remaining in the third quarter, that Lee could be looking to make a comeback run here, as it certainly would not be uncommon, but Pope Francis is going to have to play the cards right here in order to come out with the win here. As Lee, once again, as it was Naeem Clark, 2 goals already, 2 quick ones as she looks to add on to it, making it her 3rd goal. Clark dancing this way and that, as bada bing, bada boom, and it is 3 goals straight on 3 shots for Naeem Clark, as Pope Francis in a little bit of an offensive struggle here with 3 straight goals. Naeem Clark, a hat trick in the matter of less than a minute of play, and Pope Francis has not really found themselves in a game quite yet, but what could be the start of a pretty miraculous comeback here if you're Lee, as they were up 10-1 at the beginning of this third quarter. So certainly something you do not want to let your guard down for if you are Pope Francis. As Cardinals now take possession back. Ballant up top for Nolan Craven. As we've seen Pope set up the offensive unit and go to work, usually with a little middle lane drive to the net and try to find somebody open. Craven looking to make it her, I believe, 5th goal on the night so far. Crazy number for goals in a game, but she has racked up certainly a number of goals this season. As Riley Longo around the back of the net, leaving it off, trying to find Claire DeRosiers on the side. Back for Nolan Craven. DeRosiers finds Jordan Ballant up top. Ballant trying to dance this way and that, inside out. Still with possession of the ball. 8:20 remaining now in regulation. 10-4 the score for Pope Francis. Soja looking to get her hat-trick goal on the night. Fortunately, she cannot cash in there as Lee looking to come back the other way with it. Caitlin Griffin trying to push the Lee attackman to the outside as it could be possibly a clean break here, trying to get in the offensive zone for Lee. Lee looking to just cycle it around back in their own O zone. As we've seen, this is something we have not seen a lot here. Lee with a little bit of O zone time as that shot sails high and wide over the net with 7:30 remaining in regulation. 10-4 a Cardinal lead still. As I believe this shot did go into the net. Once again, I'm unsure. I looked down just for a minute to glance at, I believe it was a score sheet, and now we have all of a sudden found ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, in what is on the start of a comeback game here, as Lee, once trailing by 9, has cut the Pope Francis lead in half, as it is now 10-5 here in the third quarter with 7:13 remaining in the game. As this certainly is something you do not want to see from the Cardinals here. A big 10-1 lead get taken out of the grasp of the Cardinals. Nolan Craven looking to get her 5th goal of the night. Trying to dance her way into the O zone. Instead, she'll cut back. I believe the official did rule the play dead here. Nolan Craven, long shot there. She scores. As it is Nolan Craven's 5th goal on the night. A big one for her, and I get Pope Francis back into the swing of momentum with 6:43 remaining in the third quarter. Face-off now back up top for Pope Francis at center field. 11-5 the score now. Pope Francis trying to swing the momentum back into their favor. Craven 5 goals on the night, accounting for what is nearly half of the Pope Francis goals. Looking to add on, make it 6, a double hat trick. As we saw, it was just a couple of weeks ago, rather a couple of games ago, an 8-goal game by her. So we're looking to see if that is the most in a game she has put up so far this season. Pope Francis around the back of the net. Looking to get the O-zone unit back up and running. Ali Soja looking inside for Jordan Ballant. Trying to look for an inside lane. Soja signaling for Craven. Couldn't find an opening lane. Ballant takes a little step back. Looking to find someone along the far side, but can't find anyone, so she'll take it herself. Craven down low for Maylee Champlain. Finds Riley Longo. on the back half of the Lee net. Looking inside. Soja. Craven looking to shake and bake this way and that. Griffin back off trying to find Craven. Couldn't find her. There, it said MIAA Champlain around the back half of the net. We'll pick it up. So 5:20 remaining in the third quarter. Pope Francis looking to keep this possession going. And certainly at this point, you would look to rack up a couple more goals as you let up 4 straight. As Soja trying to dance her way to the middle of the net. As she was cut down. As it was a save made by the Lee netminder. Nolan Craven, leaving it back, trying to find Claire DeRosiers. DeRosiers looking over for Ballant. Ballant looking on the far side, trying to find Ali Soja. She does. Ali Soja back up top on the side for Caitlin Griffin with 4:30 remaining in the third quarter. Griffin looking to dance her way inside, try to fire a low shot off. Craven picks it up, though. Can't find a shot or an angle to shoot at. So she'll leave it out for Ali Soja. Finds Jordan Ballant up top. Ballant. Over for Nolan Craven. Back for Claire DeRosiers. Down low for Riley Longo. Has the pass over for MIAA Champlain. .340 just about remaining in the third quarter. Pope still with a 6-goal lead here on this very rainy Tuesday afternoon. Ballant looking to try to find an inside lane. Nothing would go for her, though. Caitlin Griffin looking to add on. It's the goal she has so far on the night. Griffin trying to find an inside lane. She shoots. She scores. As I believe that'll be her second goal of the night. So 12-5 now in favor of Pope Francis with 3:12 remaining in the third quarter. As Pope back on the goal track here as you look to net a couple more to account for the loss that you had with the 4 straight goals. As Nolan Craven back at the top of the face-off dot. Face-off was one up. Craven will scoop it up though and take it over the 30-20 line with 3:03 remaining in regulation. Ali Soja. Over to the side for MIAA Champlain. Back for Riley Longo. Leaves it off for Claire DeRosiers. Couldn't handle the pass as Nolan Craven will scoop it up. .235 now remaining in regulation. Pope Francis looking to just get something going here up top. Trying to put the ozone unit to work. Ballant along the side angle. Trying to leave the pass over. I believe it was for Ava Moltenbray. As Craven will have to hustle to the ball. MIAA Champlain. Back half of that. Leaves the pass off for Riley Longo. On the far side, trying to get scooped up was Ava Moltenbray. Unfortunately, she could not connect there. But Ava Moltenbray will head to the 20-yard line. Looking to give Pope regain an 8-goal lead potentially here. Ballant outside, looking to find Craven. Back up top for Moltenbray. Couldn't find anything there, so she'll pass it off back for Ali Soja. Moltenbray low shot, or rather it was Ballant's low shot. That trickled just wide of the net. Craven inside lane found over for Ballant. She scores. As it is now 13-5 in favor of Pope Francis. Regaining the 8-goal lead that they once had and now had to work so hard to get back. With 1:08 remaining in the third quarter. A good recognition here to get some more ozone time and a focus a little less in your own defensive zone, because defense will not win games. Certainly for Lacrosse and here at Pope Francis. So good job of recognizing that. As it has been 3 straight goals. Pope and Lee trading the goals. The goal onslaught, really. The chain of goals back and forth. For a while, it was in favor of Pope. Then Lee would say, "Nuh-uh, we want it back." But Pope regaining it now with 3 straight goals. Final minute now remaining in the third quarter. Ali Soja looking to work her way and get her hat-trick goal. Out along the bottom, Riley Longo back for Maylee Champlain. Champlain back for Longo. Longo up top. Trying to find an inside lane I believe it was Ali Soja trying to find an inside lane, looking for Jordan Ballant. Craven looking to keep Naomi Clark to the outside, as she is tallied for a total of, I believe, 3 or 4 goals so far for Lee, as she has done a good job so far. Lee looking to regain possession, but with this, time will wind down. As at the end of the third quarter, the score 13-5 in favor of the Cardinals. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up, the fourth quarter of action when we return live on Pope Prep. As face-off one back here at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Face-off one forward by Nolan Craven. As we said earlier, 13-5 the score. As the play is blown dead here, as Lee had possession, looking to come out big with the start here. Lee back with possession now. Pope Francis getting a little bit of work on their D zone. We've seen them a little bit lacking so far this game, as it was 4 goals straight by Naeem Clark. As she now has 16 goals on the season. Now make it 17 goals on the season, as her 5th goal of the game. As she is leading her team, propelling them in this game so far, as it is now 13-6 in favor of Pope Francis. As Nolan Craven set to take the face-off once again for Pope Francis. So with a 7-goal lead now, Cardinals looking to maintain that, get back into the ozone swing of things. With 10:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. Ballant gains possession for Pope Francis. Craven, going to go inside. Back off for Sophia Deichler, who fired a shot off. That was a save made by the lead netminder. Ella Negron. Leaving the pass back over for Nolan Craven. Jordan Ballant picks it up. Back for Ava Moltenbray. On the side for Claire DeRogers, who had that stick checked out of her hands by a lead defender. But Pope will still regain possession here, approaching the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter. A game that has mostly been dominated by Pope Francis. Inside lane, Jordan Ballant looking to fire a shot off. 5-hole, she scores, as I believe that is her 3rd goal on the night. So 9:51 remaining in the fourth quarter, as it is now 14-6 in favor of Pope Francis. Nolan Craven once again at the face-off for Pope Francis. 1 up. Craven gains possession for the Cardinals. 9:45 remaining in regulation. Pass back off for Jordan Ballant. Leaving it off for Nolan Craven. Back for Ella Negron. Negron back down low for Deichler. Leaving the pass off for Riley Longo. DeRozier's looking around, cycles it around the back of the Lee net. So far, again, an 8-goal lead regained by Pope Francis. And it's trying to work her way this way, and that inside out was Ella Negron. Looking to get something going for the Cardinals. So with 8:50 remaining in regulation. Ella Negron at the line now, looking for her first goal of the night. She shoots, she scores. Low shot goal by Ella Negron, as that now puts Pope Francis back up to a 9-goal lead. with around 8:40 remaining in the fourth quarter, as this game is looking to be well put out of reach by Pope Francis as they look to make it 6-5 on the season. Pope Francis right now in the postseason scenario outside of the top 32. However, teams with above a 500 win percentage will play preliminary round games, so they could end up playing one of the lower end, possibly 30 or 20 ranks, as they currently sit at 5-5. But with a win today, that would put them back in the win column above 500 with a record of 6-5. So Pope certainly looking to get that going for the state tournament, as they most recently coming off a little bit of a narrow loss to Tantascwa, 14-9 back here at home. As we would record that, unfortunately, I myself would not be there to broadcast both the boys and girls lacrosse games. I know I've a little bit of lacking on as far as our part, but a little bit of schedule conflictions. The spring sports and the spring semester. As Riley Longo regroups with the ball, now passes it back over to Ella Negron. We're going to get the unit back up and running as Ava Moltenbray trying to dance her way inside this way and that, and she scores as it is now 10-goal lead for Pope Francis, 16-6 with 7:49 in the fourth quarter. So again, as we said before, the key here for Pope Francis, having this big lead here, looking to hold on to it and not let go of it. They have it right now. Looking to not get you're looking to limit your D zone time, certainly not only in your zone, but you're looking to limit also the shots on goal as well. You don't want to, at the end of this game, to be more like 16-10. You want to keep the score that you have and try limiting any defensive opportunities on your end, and a lot of the O-zone time on Lee's end. So Riley Longo says to take the face-off now for Pope Francis. One up top for, I believe Lee was looking for to try to get it off. Riley Longo will head off the field, and Nolan Craven will get subbed on. Lee looking to come back the other way as it is, once again, Naeem Clark who fired that shot off, and I believe she did score once again. So I believe 5 or 6 goals on the night for her, as she's done a really, really good job making a lane to the net and coming up big for Pope Francis, for Lee, trying to get Nolan Craven and Naeem Clark mixed up a little bit there. Both with 5 goals on the night, or excuse me, Craven with 6, I believe. So with 6:56 remaining in the fourth quarter, Pope Francis now with a 9-goal lead. Going to hold on to that, though, here in the dying minutes of this game. So as we said before, I'll give a little recap of what other sports we will expect to see for those of you just tuning in that may not have heard earlier on in the live stream. We're looking to bring you girls softball versus Putnam at 4 on Friday. Again, as we said, that will be a recording then more than likely posted, if not late Friday night, maybe possibly Saturday morning or someday during Saturday for those of the softball fans out there. Then we will be back home Monday. It could possibly be a recording of or rather a live stream, but no announcements by myself of the baseball game versus Pittsfield. And that is first pitch at 5 p.m. here at the Diamond at Pope Francis. As then we would also have later on in the week baseball or softball at 4 Wednesday, as that shot would careen just outside of reach of the league goaltender. She would come up big there. But it'll be either softball versus Longmeadow or baseball versus Taconic on Wednesday. Thursday, we also look to bring you possibly a softball game versus Hamden Charter. And we'll look to bring you girls lacrosse versus Northampton, as well as girls lacrosse senior night. Make sure to tune in, ladies and gentlemen, Monday the 19th versus Chicopee Comp. That game is set as we said, Monday the 19th. Don't know the time yet. It may be 4 o'clock or it may be 5:30. I'm going to assume it's at 4 o'clock so far. As Ava Moltenbray trying to find a lane inside to the net, but nothing would go for her. Nolan Craven back up top at the 25-yard line. Claire DeRosiers back for Ella Negron. Negron looking to work her way in, try to find an inside lane so that she leaves it back off for Nolan Craven. I believe we'll give possession back over to Ella Negron. So Negron looking to make it 2 goals on the night for her. With this opportunity of streaking on that, she scores as it is Ella Negron's 2nd goal of the game. As that puts Pope back in the double digits of a lead, 17-7. The score now in favor of the Cardinals, with 4:35 remaining in the 4th quarter. Possession looking to go back in the way in favor of Lee. As Lee looking to come up here with something and make it possibly a 9-goal game here. The dying moments of this 4th quarter with 5 minutes remaining. Naeem Clark looking to dance her way inside out. Once again, there it is, the double hat trick for Naeem Clark. A senior midfielder coming up big for Lee. So I believe she does have 6 or 7 goals now alone for Lee. I mean, wow, what a performance by her. Unfortunate that they are losing. However, a good, solid performance by Naeem Clark. Face off once again, won by Nolan Craven. As she looks to head down center field, looking to add on, hopefully get her 6th goal on the night. Going to join Naeem Clark. I believe Clark with either 6 or 7 goals so far. Let alone, she has been an outstanding player for Lee so far, regardless of how the score outcome of this is. As Nolan Craven, I believe, might have taken a whack to the shins with 3:20 remaining in the 4th quarter. Nolan Craven's high shot, and she scores. As it is now 6 goals on the night for Craven. I believe 6 or 7 for Naeem Clark of Lee. But regardless, Pope has been putting in the work, as I believe now it is 17, is showing 17 on the scoreboard to 8. I believe, though, unless that goal was disallowed, that it will be 18-8, if I'm correct. But 3:04 remaining in the 4th quarter, and Pope Francis is still up big time here, as they will more than likely take this win with them and improve to 6-5 on the season slate. Molten Braid trying to work her way inside out, looking to get somewhere with it. Instead, she stops and looks back, trying to find Ali Soja. Soja leaves the pass back off over for Meili Champlain. Ellen Agron up top for Ali Soja. Soja already with a hat trick on the night so far, as she wants to look to hopefully add to it. Allie Soldier looking to work her way inside. Low shot there. Save made by the Lee netminder. With 2:15 remaining in regulation. As things starting to go from wet and rainy here at Pope Francis to a little bit of bright and sunny. As if you saw the conditions starting for warm-ups and for the pregame, you would not believe what it is right now, as it was really raining down hard here at Pope Francis. About 150 remaining now in regulation. Pope, I believe, with a 10-goal lead, 18-8, the score right now, as this very much will uphold, and Pope Francis will more than likely improve to the season of a record of 6-5. 10-goal comeback really would be crazy here in the last minute and 30 of this game. Very, very unlikely to happen, though. Be looking to make their way upfield. Unfortunately, nothing would go for them, though. As with 1:15 remaining in regulation, Pope Francis still up 18-8. Lee looking to get something going on the inside, but unfortunately nothing would find there. As with just about a minute remaining in regulation, time will slowly wind down. So Pope Francis will take this victory, a well-earned victory, under their belt. We'll give you a little bit of a brief Cardinal post-game following this big blowout win. I believe final score will be 18-8. Here, Lee looking to try to still get something going. But unfortunately, Naeem Clark getting shut down by the Pope defense with 30 seconds remaining now, running time in the fourth quarter here, as Pope looking to work to make something happen going out of the O-zone. As time winding down now, final 10 seconds here. Pope Francis will improve to 6-5 on the season slate, and Lee will fall to 1-9. Not the best season for them. So coming up, ladies and gentlemen, we'll give you the quick Cardinal postgame in just about a minute or two. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Champions play here live on Pope Prep. Cardinal postgame here, brought to you by Don Percy, the voice of the Cardinals. It was a big 18-8 win for Pope Francis. A couple of key players that we will mention out here, especially for Pope Francis. Nolan Craven, big 6-goal, I believe 6 or 7-goal game for the Cardinals, as she would certainly account for what could have been the game-winning goal here for the Cardinals here as well. Definitely without her, as this score would have been a lot closer of a game. So Craven now chasing Caitlin Ondrick, as we've seen in the shoes of Caitlin Ondrick. 48 goals last season. I believe Nolan Craven now closing in on the big 40 mark, if she is not already there. I believe she might be at 40, 41. But the question this year, will she overtake Ondrick for most goals? Not necessarily in a season, but all time is the question as well. Naeem Clark on the lead end, a good job by her too. I believe it was a 6-7 goal game, and for the losing team, a great exceptional job for her, as you can't ask for much more individually as a player than that. As this is Don Percy giving you the final Cardinal postgame, 18-8 the final score, as Don Percy, the voice of the Cardinals, signing off saying so long from Springfield. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in, and have a nice night.